So she and her sister Anne, so there was three Rennie sisters, Elizabeth, Anne and Jean. And Elizabeth was quite a bit older, so when their parents died, she became the mother figure. Anne and Jean were younger, and Anne and Jean sang professionally, and they were called the Rennie sisters. I haven't managed to find out anybody who knew of them, but they did play in and around Calder Street area, or further, I don't know. Anne played the guitar and my mum played the violin, and I have a good memory of seeing a photograph of them, and they're dressed up as cowgirls, as I think was quite common back then with the cowboy hats, and so they obviously did that locally, and then eventually they were asked, I don't know how they met them, but they were asked by a boy who ran a sort of vocal group, and so they became part of a group. Ricky, I can't remember his surname, but they became part of a group of 6 who then sang locally and in and around Glasgow, I presume. They were spotted and they were asked to go for an audition for the BBC, and by that time they called themselves 6 in Accord. There were 6 of them, and they passed their audition with flying colours and were signed up, and within the month they were part of a radio programme called It's All Yours. So we're talking the late 40s, and that programme eventually was run by, or some of the stars were Jimmy Logan and Stanley Baxter. So they were living their best life, I think, at that time, and eventually the series was dropped and it came to an end. And my auntie Anne, she emigrated to Canada, and my mum got married to my dad. So it was a brilliant, and it was such an excitement for me to find out about this. And I didn't know about it until Anne died, and her husband eventually died in Canada, and my cousin went out to clear the house and came back with memorabilia that I knew nothing about, the whole family knew nothing about, and they didn't understand why it hadn't been talked about, or this little career that these girls had had. So that was lovely, yeah.
Your mum and her sister were very glamorous in the photo that I've seen.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? And I think they'd even, I've got other photographs of them wearing knitted little jumpers with musical clefs on which I think they must have put together themselves. Yes, they were quite glamorous. It was a glamorous time, wasn't it? Yeah. And my Auntie Anne, she was very glamorous, yes. She went off to Canada, and she was one for writing into the papers. So I do have snippets of Glasgow papers talking about Anne Rennie having emigrated to Canada, and little stories that she had. But the fun thing I find is the age that she gave was a lot younger than she actually was. So I thought that was quite funny. And again, I didn't know that till later. But I found the boat that she went over, I think it was SS Olympian, it was its first voyage, and looking at it, and there's footage of it online, and of that first voyage, and so I've trawled it but couldn't see her. But I don't quite know how she afforded it, because it was very expensive. It was an expensive trip at that time, and she was mixing with models and other interesting, exciting people. So that was Anne, though. That was definitely Anne. Yeah.